Welcome back to the KDPG Sunday edition. This morning we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not in the playoffs, so this might be about the only time you hear talk about the Steelers, except perhaps on some passing comments during a game or two today. So we've been talking about the issue with Antonio Brown. Sally, the issue, as Jerry pointed out in his first story, he broke the story here. We just also talked about the possibility of trading Antonio Brown.
Well, and you also mentioned there's time to figure this out, but is it about 2 months before, even before that, news will be leaking out about what the Steelers are planning to do? So what do you think's next for them? What do you think their moves are? Is their hand forced?
What I think is interesting about this is that the Steelers are in a bit of a transition period, it feels like, because they've got to decide. Mike Tomlin has 2 years left on his contract. This would normally be the summer where they would extend that deal for their head coach into the future. Ben Roethlisberger has just 1 year left on his deal. I imagine they'll try to come to some sort of agreement with him on extending what could be his final contract as the Steelers quarterback this summer. So with Antonio Brown having 3 years left on his contract, how does this team look at its future over the next 3 or 4 years? And does Antonio Brown fit into that? If they're going to wait until after June to make a trade, which is a possibility to affect how it hits their salary cap, then that also affects their future strategy at the draft and free agency. So I think this is gone from, Antonio Brown being a problem in the locker room and a problem on the field to now it's affecting greater big block issues about strategy for this organization going forward, Jerry.
Yeah, and that's really going to be the case if they do trade him or unload him in some form. Obviously, the trade would be the best way because you would get something in return. I don't know what they would get in return. Everybody likes to think they would get a number 1 and a number 3, and based on his talent, yes. But based on his recent behavior, I don't know if that affects that or not. But to me, I don't see any way in which they can bring him back based on what he just did. I just don't know how they could show up, the players would show up at training camp and see Antonio Brown enter, well, last year it was by helicopter, so this year I'm going to assume it's fighter jet or something, across the highway to the Arnold Palmer Airport and then somehow airlift him by jetpack over to the stadium, to the field. But I don't know how they can bring him back after what he did. And so...
Well, the other NFL teams, are they willing to take on a player like this?
Well, again, yeah, because, I don't recall when Terrell Owens was traded what he commanded in a trade. I don't, but to think that Antonio Brown, that you're going to sit him down and talk to him and read him the riot act and threaten him and tell him to change or else, that's just not going to work. They've already have sat him down several times and talked to him, including this year. And to expect him to change is really insanity on their part. Everybody is going to be watching how Mike Tomlin handles this situation. And believe me, the decision's going to come above Mike Tomlin. But everybody's going to be watching because if he then accepts this latest act of insubordination, mutiny, whatever you want to call, well, insubordination in his case would be mutiny if it continues, then everybody's going to be watching Mike Tomlin.
Chris, your thought on this, because one of your headlines, Paul Zeiss wrote Antonio, I'm not sure he wrote the headline, but the story was Antonio Brown has forced the Steelers into a corner, which is what Jerry's saying.
Absolutely. I mean, he's not going to change. He's a 30-year-old man at this point who is sort of a self-made man to an extent. He was drafted in the 6th round out of Central Michigan. This is a guy who the defiance, the chip on his shoulder is what helped him build his career, what helped instill his work ethic. Growing up from a poor neighborhood in Miami and Liberty City to finally getting himself the scholarship at Central Michigan after several stops along the way, and then getting himself to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and after years of hard work there. Everybody talks about he is the hardest worker in that building. That's how he's become the #1 receiver in the league, really. So that defiance, that chip on the shoulder that he has is what drives him. The problem with him is he's not able to separate that from the work that he's actually doing day to day, I think. There's resentments built up, whether it be over Juju Smith-Schuster winning the MVP award this season, whether it be over Ben Roethlisberger getting Wednesdays off, whatever it may be. Antonio Brown still has that chip on his shoulder, and if he hasn't changed again by now, I don't think there's any reason the Steelers can't believe that after everything they've gone through with him, that he will change.
But that leads to the question as well, I go back, if he is this kind of player, and if he has this attitude, as you pointed out here, he's not going to change with another team. right?
No, they're going to inherit the same problems. And when these teams, now I know it only takes one. It only takes one general manager who's trying to convince his owner we need this guy to win, or one owner who's trying to convince the fans that look, we mean business about winning, and we're going to trade for this all-pro, very productive wide receiver. But it's going to hurt, I think, the Steelers' ability to some degree to be able to shop him and get something in return, because I don't, you know, the Dallas Cowboys got Amari Cooper for #1 pick. Well, Amari Cooper is basically a Boy Scout and a model citizen. Well, that's not going to be the case with Antonio Brown. And while he is more productive and more proven than Amari Cooper, I just think it's going to hurt the Steelers' ability to get what they think they might want to get for a player of, commensurate with his talent.
Except as a viewer, as a football lover, it is hard not to wax poetic on his ability.
That's why they keep him.
He is extraordinary.
He's a singular talent, but
there are Hall of Fame finalist discussions going on now too. I'm sure in the back of his head that's something he very much wants to be. Do his personal attributes make it harder or longer for him to get into the Hall of Fame?
Well, he's going to have to win a championship first. That's one thing he hasn't been able to do here in Pittsburgh. He's been at the core of this team that over the past decade has failed to get back to a Super Bowl and win one. And that still is, I think, the last great hurdle left in Ben Roethlisberger's career. I think it's the next hurdle in Mike Tomlin's career is to get back there. Yes, they've each won one. Ben has won two. But they both want to get back there. They both want to prove that they are Hall of Fame level. I think Roethlisberger's probably first ballot nonetheless, but the point remains the same, Jerry. I think Antonio Brown hasn't reached that point yet.
Yeah, and Sally, to your point, I mean, that's what held Terrell Owens back from getting into the Hall of Fame right away. I mean, there are voters who, 95% of them are media people. I think they brought a couple players in here in the last 3 or 4 years. I could be wrong about that, but nonetheless, that's what's held him back from getting in right away. Now he got in this past year, and you saw what happened. He just, he decides he's not going to attend the ceremony. So, and it's kind of like, the media people then or the voters are then kicking themselves for this is why we didn't put him in the first place, because of his bizarre behavior. And so, yeah, it'll work against him. I'm not going to sit here and say it would prevent him from being first ballot, second ballot, or third ballot. I don't know. But it can definitely work against him.
Another headline from your newspaper is Joe Starkey. The Steelers are the NFL's laughingstock at the moment. Let's turn it a little bit away from the Antonio Brown situation, but we did have this situation with Le'Veon Bell. The other issue, of course, is they did not make the playoffs. Is there something inherently wrong right now with the Steelers organization?
Well, from fans, I get the sense that there's a lot wrong. They're upset, and really some of those issues are now so far under the radar. Chris Boswell missing kicks, Mike Tomlin not winning replay challenges, but there are a myriad of things that fans are upset with that have all come to a head now with missing the playoffs. And we even, you mentioned the laughingstock term, Stacey, but that's something we get from fans, both via text and phone calls on the morning show, which is, I'm somewhat embarrassed to be a Steelers fan right now. We had somebody call in today and say, I have a cousin who is a Browns fan up the road in Cleveland. And he's more proud of his team right now than we are as Steeler fans, because it seems like things are sort of going in the opposite direction right now for the two franchises. I do think there is a question for the Pittsburgh Steelers of how do we get some of our most loyal, our most rabid fans to buy back in and to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers with fun again, with happiness, because there is a great sense of frustration. Some of it is built up over the last decade because they have not won another championship, Jerry. Some of it is come about very recently because of the frustrations over things like Antonio Brown's selfishness.
Yeah, I think, Stacey, it's hard to compare the Bell and Brown situation because to me they're entirely different. But when you look at it from the big picture from the outside, why didn't they sign Le'Veon Bell? How could they walk away from that? Give him the money he deserves, or whatever the people thought. But in his case, did he walk out on a team? He never walked out on him because he was never there. He never signed the franchise tag, and he walked away from $14.5 million. There is nobody here outside this studio or in that organization that ever thought he would walk away from $14.5 million. And as crazy as this might sound, you could almost say he was honorable. He thought, I am not going to take the money. I'm going to stand on my principle. The Antonio Brown situation is entirely different, of course, because he was here and he bailed out on his team. He refused to practice, refused to go to meetings, and still has not talked to his football coach. He is not doing himself any favors with his post behavior from after the game. So, but the big picture, when you look at it, it looks like there's internal strife and turmoil and what's going on with that organization. But they made decisions that what they were going to do with Le'Veon Bell. They were only going to offer him this much, and now we'll see. We'll see where it goes with Antonio Brown.
We only have about 30 or 45 seconds to go here, so I'll ask both of you. Is this the low point for the Steelers? We got the draft coming up down the road. Will they be back in the contention again? Roethlisberger's getting a little older.
9-6-1 is most teams in the NFL would love that to be the low point, Stacy. They are the model franchise, despite what people think. And the New England Patriots are the only team in the last 2 decades that are more successful than them. And it's hard to say that's the low point for them as a franchise, and that's not a low point.
It's the low point for the Steelers because it's not the postseason. As Mike Tomlin likes to say, the standard is the standard. Well, the standard is postseason football and then championships.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely.
Sally and I will be back with some final thoughts in just a moment.